super excited to have Susanna here with us. You might have heard her last night on our live broadcast. Her film is called Falling for the Mountain, and it actually is based, what, in Switzerland?
It's based in the Swiss Alps, yes.
Yeah, which is gorgeous and amazing in its own. So first, welcome. It's great to have you back here with us. I say back because you were here last night. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your film and also your heritage and how it ties to the Swiss Alps.
So it's a love story between people and the land, and it's our land. It's inherited land. So we are in the third generation. My grandfather used to live at the bottom of the hill, but now everybody lives farther away. I live very far, but also I live in California, so I bring a California perspective to the land, and it brings people together.
So tell us a little bit about the film Falling for the Mountain and what your motivation was in creating the film in the first place.
Well, because we have a challenging situation up there, because people don't live on the land anymore. It's only open in the summer, but the land up in the Swiss Alps is open and accessible to everyone. So we're not like rich landowners, we are really caretakers. But there's the farmers, they have economic interests, and in the summer the cattle come up. And so it's important that everybody gets on the same page for the maintenance of the old buildings. Like, they're 200 years old, there's no roads getting to it, there's no electricity.
Wait, so how do you get there?
Well, you can drive up a good bit, and then the last 7 minutes you walk.
Okay.
Right? Or if you come up the front, you walk for a half hour. And let's see, what else?
Well, so you're talking about the land use and how to protect that. And I know a lot of focus of the film is around your family's history with that. But what were you hoping that folks could take away from this and know about the situation that's going on? Because we mentioned even the other night that, for example, here in the United States, federally protected lands, national parks, all of that.
Right. So there is no such effort, in the Alps right now. It's all there's some of them are privately held, and some of them are community land, and we are just learning over there to bring people together and to educate the farmers as well as the owners how much it is important to preserve biodiversity and not just use the land for cattle and max everything out.
How do you change that thought process though when it goes back for generations, right? Like you've even mentioned, for 3 generations in your family when there's farming. How do you change people's way of thinking around that?
Right. So that's the key question, really. I come from a listening practice called counsel, so I spend a lot of time listening to people and listening to all kinds of people, the neighbors, the farmers, the family, and I find that the very process of listening is kind of opens doors, because people feel acknowledged, they feel heard, and then they might be more interested in hearing another perspective. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've been doing.
So what's one of the examples in your film, Falling for the Mountain, where maybe that's benefited? Because there was a farmer, when talking about climate change, he's like, this is just normal, there's nothing unusual going on. It's hard sometimes to break those patterns and our own belief systems around that.
It's very hard. It's very hard. And if I don't acknowledge that you have your own perspective and I have mine, then we can just forget it. But if we acknowledge each other and then say, well, how about this, and bring in many different perspectives. And in the film, there is a shaman from Greenland who says, climate change, which is what we live now, is here to melt the ice in the heart of man. And I see that that's the work we're doing up there.
What is it that you want folks to take away from this? Obviously this is based in Austria, or in the Swiss Alps, in Switzerland, and you also mentioned it covers other countries as well. So how can we help support you, and what can we do around this?
Well, A, I appreciate that you're asking me, and B, I think it's important that we become more intimate with nature, that we become more intimate with each other. In other words, we dare to connect, we put our cell phones away and actually look at each other and have conversations. and that we take young people out into nature and show them where the water comes from, you know, the magic of the flowers, and go out and find berries. I mean, yeah, hands-on.
How has creating this film changed even the way that you move in the world now and think about things?
It's been very rewarding. People, the film acts as a recruiting medium. People want to come up and help me with the plants.
Who doesn't want to go to the Swiss Alps?
Right. And well, it's strengthened my conviction that this work of, you know, creating a circle, like actually the Yuba River people are calling themselves a circle. Well, that's what we're doing in the Swiss Alps. And the themes that are addressed are really, they concern all the Alp regions, you know, so that's Switzerland, Austria, Italy, and France, because urbanization is pulling people away from the land, and we want to seduce them with the beauty and bring them back.
So that would be part of the vision when I was thinking of like your overall vision for this film and the actions around that would be one part then.
Yes,
the unification.
Yes, the unification, and to bring, you know, there's many crafts that are getting lost, like sharpening a scythe, you know, people don't know anymore, they just go and buy a new one.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful task to sit there at night and hammer the scythe. And the old people that are, you know, they're on their way out, they are eager, and they have been helping me tremendously because they love it, that I love it. Yeah. So they come and teach me things, and for me and my family to create experiences where young people come in. They came from America, they came from England, to help us dig ditches, cover roofs, you know, to give them that experience of working together, young and old.
Well, and what I love about a lot of the films like this too at Wild and Scenic, it's just taking one area that you're very passionate about or it's central to your home, right? So that's part of it, is finding somewhere within our community.
That's right.
Right? That can help both benefit people just on how we're connected to each other, and then of course on the environmental end as well, and with our planet as well. What I asked you a similar question last night. Our theme around Wild and Scenic is a change of course. But what's one of the wildest things that happened to you while you were doing this film?
Well, actually, it happened after the film, but it's such a good story, I have to place it, that we found water last year, and even my family, who's been going up to the mountain for, you know, all their life, they weren't aware how important it is to have your own water on your own land. So the water dowser who's in the film, he promised to find me water, and we did, and it was all just based on observation.
Does he use one of the sticks?
He uses a dowsing tool,
like a pendulum,
like a pendulum, and he speaks to the water. How much is gonna come out? Do you want to come out here or over there? I mean, he's very direct, and then he observes it, and because it was in a moraine, you know, in a like a hill that is created by the glacier, because it's glacier terrain. And then he moves with the phases of the moon, because during new moon, you know, the forces retract, and during full moon it comes out. And so we watched how the water behaves during the phases. Was there much change? And there wasn't, maybe half a liter or so. And then during blue moon of August, we went up there with the shovel and the pick, and
that's fascinating. That's really, really interesting. Yeah. Susanna, it was such a pleasure to have you with us here today, and thanks so much for making the trek to come out here at Wild and Scenic Film Fest. And if you could tell everyone, why is it so important to come to a festival like Wild and Scenic?
Oh, it's huge. I'm really very grateful. This is our world premiere, and I'm so grateful because it gives a context for the film. You know, you work on it for so long, and so much is on technology, so you're with the computer and you're actually starving for nature, and just to see other people, so many people working on issues, it's very hopeful.
Yeah, it's like all these environmental action heroes joining together. Susanna, thanks for joining us. The film is called Falling, for the mountain. And is it screening still this weekend?
Yes, it's screening this afternoon at 12:30 at the Nevada Theater, and it's at 7 o'clock at Miners Foundry in the Stone Room.
That's great. Thanks so much, Susanna.
Thank you
nice
very
to have
much.
you here.
Thank
We're
you.
actually going to go to a trailer of Falling for the Mountain right now. I'm Elisa Parker, and we will be right back here live from Wild and Scenic at the Media Lounge.
Und was mir am meisten geblieben ist von dieser Begegnung mit dem Herrn Willi, ist, dass er hat immer so eine Handbewegung gemacht, wenn er etwas erklärt hat. Also wir haben zum Beispiel über das Wasser geredet, oder haben darüber geredet, später bei einem Glas Wein, wie macht man Schindeln, oder wie ist das mit dem Käse machen. Und er hat immer so eine Handbewegung gemacht, immer so ein bisschen gedreht mit der Hand, oder? Und ich habe mich immer gefragt, was will er sagen mit dem? Und ich habe mir das noch ein rechtes Zeitchen überlegt. Er kann wirklich so schauen, wo sind die Kräfte, die schon da sind. Also wo fließt das Wasser? Was ist das für eine Milch, die er den Käse daraus macht? Was sind das für Bäume, wo man die Schindeln daraus macht? Wo er einfach sehen kann, was ist schon da und wie kann ich mit dem kleinstmöglichen Aufwand eben so die Kräfte in die Richtung hineinbringen, wo ich sie gerne hätte.